I'm a juror. I'm juror number 2. I'm the shit and I win like poo. Yeah. I'm a vampire too. Blood from your neck, Nick. Whole eyes blue. Huh. How many reviews? 2. 2 reviews for the YouTube. And we're back. And I'm going to talk about 2 movies today. And I just want to say before I get going, I'm going to try to be a much safer, calmer, whisperier presence in this review session than I was in my Sonic review. I felt like I may have been a little freakish, perhaps, just a bit. I was sort of, going off on some questionable tangents here and there. And quite frankly, I despise myself for it. I really do. I hate what I've done and what I've become. So I'm going to try to keep things a little calmer today. And it's fitting because today we are talking about 2 films that are very much for adults, for mature adults. And if I could indulge in that part of myself, difficult as it may be to acquire, let's calm it down. I do appreciate very much these 2 films and their existence. I want to say that at the jump because my takes on these films are slightly spicy, like a little peppery. Okay, we're not going to go off on pepper. We're not going to talk about different peppers. I said I'd be better. So we're not going to talk about peppers. But I will say, a nice Thai chili pepper is good. It really can enhance your dish. But I'm not going to talk about stuff like that today. Not talking about it. My takes are going to be a little spicy. A little spicy. So I want to say at the jump that I respect what these movies are trying to do, and I like and want to encourage a wave of films that are made for adult audiences. It's nice to have a break in the mainstream release sector from these big 4-quadrant blockbuster type films. It's nice to have stuff like this. We have on the one end with Nosferatu, this very classy gothic horror picture. And on the other end, you have Juror number 2, which is this very old school courtroom drama. And I like that. I really appreciate it. That being said, I guess let's start with Juror number 2, because it's the most fresh in my mind. I watched it last night. A little tired as I may have been. Here's what I will say. There is a palpable sense of dread in this movie that is well executed. This is a Clint Eastwood film. It is directed with care and patience, and that sense of dread that carries throughout the film. It's sort of the central piece of the movie. Nicholas Holt's character realizing that he may have been responsible for this girl that died. That sense of dread really sold the movie to the point where I would, push my thoughts on it right over the edge into recommending it. Right over the edge. I think Nicholas Holt also does a great job conveying this sense of impending doom and terror and guilt. I think he does it really well. It's a subtle performance, and it's a performance that could have been way more over the top. Like, there are a lot of people who would have been in this role, a lot of directors who would have directed a movie with this central character where it could have been way more over the top, way more sweaty and scary. I think the fact that a fucking, 94-year-old man might have something to do with it where he's like, all right, guys, we're going to settle down. Everyone settle down. That could be part of it. But it works. And I like that this movie has a nice, steady pace to it. And yeah, that sense of dread, it's very nice. Here's my beef with the movie. I found the dialogue horrifically unauthentic. And not just the dialogue, but certain character actions. Like there's a scene in a trailer. I don't know if you've seen the film, but the way a certain character says something and another character just sort of walks out the door when he asks something. It's a very dramatic movie thing. And there's a lot of that in this, which isn't a terrible thing. But throughout the movie, I never got the sense, especially with this jury, there's a lot of scenes of this jury deliberating and talking with each other. I never got the sense that these were real people. They spoke in movie lines, which, I get it, it is a movie. So there's that. But I never felt like these were real people, with the exception of Nicholas Hoult and Zoe Deutch, which I would mostly just attribute to their performances. I guess I would include J.K. Simmons in that too. I thought he did well. But there's so much of this movie that felt very rehearsed, kind of stagey, and I don't know, like the dialogue just did not connect with me. People would constantly be saying things that I'm like, why are you saying that in that tone? As much as I said it wasn't over the top, when it comes to how people delivered their lines, I think it was. And there are moments, little bits of comedy they try to throw in there that don't work super well. I found the overall experience to be relatively slight. I was impressed by certain aspects of it. I didn't hate watching it. For a movie that closes in on 2 hours, I never wanted to get the hell out of there. So that's a good thing. I have my thing about long movies, and this one, not super long, but for its length, it had a brevity to it. To the point that when it ended, I actually would have been fine having it go on a little bit longer. So I respect it. I do respect the movie. I would push it right over that edge of recommendation. In my brain, in the classical movie rating system, you go up to that, whether it's a 3 out of 5, 6 out of 10, and that's kind of your starting point for, yeah, this is all right. That's the fresh tomato, I put it right on that line, and it could kind of go either way for me. But I would, if I had to pick, if I was a Rotten Tomatoes critic, I think I would push it right over into that nice, juicy tomato. It's not an heirloom tomato, right? It's sort of like a Roma. It's a Roma tomato, which, I don't know how you guys feel about Roma tomatoes, but they have their purpose. That's what I'll say. And this movie is exactly that. It has a purpose. It's a Roma tomato. So if you think about Juror number 2 and my thoughts, it's a Roma tomato. Watch it if you want. It's on HBO Max. And by the fucking way, I want to say, HBO Max, you need to get your shit together. Like that Rick and Morty scene where he's like, get all your shit, put it in a bag. Yeah, this is that. They need to get their shit together because for whatever reason, every time I stream a movie on HBO Max, it's dog shit. The quality is constantly buffering back and forth. It'll pause randomly. I'll have to restart. I'll have to go back into the film. It's deeply annoying. I don't have this problem with other streaming platforms. It's just HBO Max. Figure it out, guys. They aren't even close to a Roma tomato, man. They're like a fucking shit beefsteak tomato in the discount aisle with mold on it. Utterly disgraceful. They need to get it together. So those are my thoughts on Juror number 2. You could watch it. You could not. I don't care. You have your own life. I have mine. All right. Let's calm it down even more. And let's talk about Nosferatu. A movie I was very excited for. So excited. I love Robert Eggers. I was a huge fan since The Witch. It's genuinely become maybe one of my favorite movies. Certainly one of my favorite horror movies. Speaking of palpable sense of dread, that's a movie with it. And also a palpable sense of eeriness. You know, the devil looms in every corner. The Lighthouse I didn't love, but respected a lot and was enthralled by in many ways. The Northman I thought was great. And I kind of expected this to be his masterpiece. And it's not, man. It's really not. Unfortunately. I just recently watched the Coppola Dracula movie. Another movie I found to be not very good. But something I will say for that film, it's interesting, man. There are so many interesting visual choices. It's so fun watching Keanu Reeves be horrible in that movie. And Winona Ryder be not horrible, but silly. And Gary Oldman be silly. It's fun. This was dry, man. This was dry as hell. And I honestly can't figure out why this needed to exist. I mean, it is a very buttoned up, simple, obvious take on this story. And I think there's a bit of an intent here to make like the essential version of this story. And in some ways, I guess it could be, because it does hit all of those beats note for note. It does it without a lot of whimsy's a strange word to use for this, but it does it without a lot of experimentation. It's very straightforward. And that's not a bad thing in and of itself, but for me, it just made this such a slog to get through. I mean, the line deliveries from these characters are so deeply boring. The movie has, I will say, a consistent tone, but there's no point of play in this film. Nothing. It is just a very down the line, obvious take, including Bill Skarsgård, who's getting a lot of praise for this, for his take on Count Orlok, and specifically the voice he uses. You know, it's fine. It's scary. It's imposing, I suppose. But, I mean, it's the most, like, spirit Halloween core shit. He's doing the full, like, I am the blah, 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 blah. I just did it for you. You fucks. I just did it right there. I am Count Orlok, and you will be my tomato. You know, there you fucking go, Bill. Good job, Bill. Fuck you. Not really. He was fine. He was good. He was good in the film. I don't mean to say fuck you. He's a good actor. I like him. But, yeah, really unnecessary. Really unnecessary take. Why does he have a mustache? Why the mustache? Why the goddamn mustache? It's bad, man. Looking at him with that thing, I get it. I get what they're doing. But God, why? I have to, going back to Sonic, man, he's got the fucking Jim Carrey mustache. That's not scary. And it certainly doesn't make me want to fuck him, right? And that's part of this. There's some horniness here. I saw a wild take on Threads of someone saying that this was hornier than the Coppola version. That's insane. That's insane. I mean, there is that sexual tension, repression, undercurrent here, for sure. And I guess more than an undercurrent. But certainly not to the degree of the Coppola movie. That was a very strange take. I don't understand that at all. But I feel like including that in this movie, you would almost want there to be some sexiness in the air, a little musk. You'd want to smell Orlok. I'm going to get fucking in there. Fucking smell him out. But I didn't want to smell him at all. Not even a little bit. I didn't want a tiny taste of him. And I just didn't feel that thing, like that pull between Lily Rose Depp, who has, decided early on in her childhood that she needs something more. She wants this spirit to come into her. Oh, that didn't feel sexy or interesting. It wasn't particularly titillating or disturbing either. It wasn't even unsettling because the depiction of Count Orlok was just so goofy and over the top that honestly, the reaction mostly in the theater when it gets to the thing that happens, no spoilers. I spoiled Sonic. I'm not spoiling this. When it gets to that moment in a certain bedroom at a certain time of day, it was just funny. It also doesn't help that Lily Rose Depp sucks. She's so bad. This absolutely should have been an Anya Taylor-Joy role. It felt like it was written for her. But she is awful in this movie. She either is expressionless and distant and unempathetic and just bizarre, or she's fucking flailing around and going, No complexity to that performance. It's one way or the other. She's either moping, looking into the distance. Where's Nicholas? Or she's going, I don't even know how much to blame her for it, because it really did feel like Robert Eggers and his direction of the actors in this movie was definitely the weakest it's been in any of his films. And the least honed. I think most of his direction was like, here you go. Here's the lines that you say. Read them how you want. And then occasionally with Lily Rose Depp, he's like, flail around, fucking go. No. Hated her in this. And she's got a face I don't enjoy. I don't like looking at her. Sorry. Plenty of people I'm sure do. But her face, as I said to a friend of mine, she looks like the human embodiment of an antidepressant that only works on 30% of the people who take it. That's Lily Rose Depp for you. Not good. Not good. Don't really want to see her in anything. At all. I will commend this movie, of course, for its visuals. The craft of this movie, the costumes, the sets, they're fucking incredible. Eggers does a remarkable job of setting the stage, as it were. I felt definitely engrossed in the world. I didn't really care what was happening in that world, but I was in it. Until it was so goddamn long, and I just wanted to leave. And I was just watching shit that I've seen before done not as well or as interesting. The music also bothered me. I know some people have enjoyed the score. I found the score super repetitive, super uninteresting. It felt like a score that could have been in any generic horror movie. And I couldn't believe the amount of times Eggers was pulling some basic mainstream horror movie bullshit with jump scares and those music cues of just the rising cut, cut. Unbelievable. I couldn't believe I was watching it. It was so strange to see that happen in an Eggers movie. And when the title card came up at the end and said, written and directed by Robert Eggers, I was like, really? I mean, sort of. So, I don't know. There were some very memorable shots. And I think the setting of the film was great. But that's all I really felt about it. I was bored. I'm not taking anything away from it. And I don't want to see other versions of this story. And I'm tired of vampires in general. I'm so glad that the Christopher Nolan movie is not going to be a vampire movie with Tom Holland sucking necks. I'm very happy about that. So, there you go. Those are my thoughts on Juror number 2 and Nosferatu. Bye.